Chapter 71 It Was You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Having heard Long Su-in and Su Er-er's voices, Su Xuening took her eyes off Bai Chen to look at the two. Hi, Su-in, long time no see. That was right. This woman was Su Xuening, the same mysterious lady Bai Chen had encountered and conversed with yesterday. Would you care to join us? Long Su-in smiled. She rarely smiled, but whenever she met either Su Xuein or Su Er-er, she always smiled at them. Bai Chen looked at Su Xuening and could only frown. He thought this woman looked very familiar. It could be because she was hiding her face, so he did not know who she was. Su Xuening did not reply right away but turned to look at Bai Chen again. Su Er-er's pretty round eyes blinked several times. She looked at her older sister with surprise, then looked back at Bai Chen in turn. What's wrong with big sister? Why is she staring at this big brother non-stop, she wondered. Her sister had not once shown interest in a man in this way. It was not only Su Er-er whose suspicion was triggered. Long Su-in also started to get suspicious, too. She noticed that Su Xuening had locked her gaze onto Bai Chen. And the guy was staring at her without blinking as well. These two know each other. Long Su-in thought. But thinking it through, it was highly unlikely. She knew Su Xuening quite well. She had never shown interest in any guys in her life. Not even her male cousins. Xuening, do you know Bai Chen? She gave in and finally asked about this. Bai Chen, under the mask, Su Xuening's lips parted. She mumbled to herself. Her eyes behind the sunglasses quivered. She had seen him earlier but had not quite been sure because right now he looked really young, unlike the person she had met yesterday who was in his 30s. But now that she had heard what Long Su-in said, she was very sure that this was the guy. The names Chen Bai and Bai Chen simply had the first and last names switched. How could she have failed to notice? Though Su Xuening was sure that this was the elder she had run into yesterday, she was not quite sure how he had come to be in this younger version of himself. Or is this some sort of superior transfiguration spell? Su Xuening could not help but wonder. This elder's shape-shifting skill is beyond imagination, she thought. Su Xuening's respect for Bai Chen deepened. He was not only a sky-soaring realm cultivator but also possessed an advanced shape-shifting technique. I know him a little, she turned to answer Long Su-in, an answer that shocked Long Su-in considerably. She had never imagined that Su Xuening would know Bai Chen. It was not only Long Su-in who was in shock, though. The cute little girl, Su Er-er, was also bewildered. Om Su Xuening was her sister. How could she not know her sister's character? Bai Chen was confused. He asked Su Xuening, do we know each other? He obviously did not know it was her, though he felt she looked a bit familiar. Elder, Su Xuening said softly. This word made Bai Chen stand up almost immediately with his eyes slightly widened. It was you. He had never thought they would meet again. Moreover, he was sure that she would not remember him, because right now he did not look like his 30-year-old self. It seemed Bai Chen was 2na.ve. Now that they were meeting again by chance, she still remembered him. Yes, it's me, Su Xuening replied. She did not use the language of cultivators like she had before. There were others around right now, so it was not convenient for Su Xuening to use it. Bai Chen took a deep breath, he did not know what to say. Seeing Bai Chen's reaction, Long Su-in was now sure that these two really did know each other. So, you two know each other. Care to join us then? Yes. Su Xuening nodded and took a seat next to Bai Chen. The boy had a complicated expression on his face. He did not know whether to laugh or cry, having never thought that he would meet Su Xuening again. Wow. Big bro, it's so awesome that you know my sister. Su Er-er beamed and said joyfully. From her point of view, the first man that had gotten acquainted with her sister meant that he was quite awesome. Having said that, she took a seat next to Long Su-in. I've already ordered. Xuening, please feel free to order more. Too. It's my treat this time. Though Long Su-in was quite curious about how Bai Chen and Su Xuening knew each other, she did not ask. The woman thought she could always ask Bai Chen the next time it was just the two of them together. Su Xuening nodded and looked at Su Er. You can order whatever you want to eat. Yes. Su Er nodded and looked over the menu. Long Su-in called over the staff to order more food. Su Er ordered a few dishes, while Su Xuening ordered one. She did not care much about dinner today, her eyes were locked on Bai Chen. The woman wanted to know why he had assumed this form instead of his real one. She clearly believed that his 30-year-old self was his real form, not this one he was using. Or, is he using this body to court Su-in? Su Xuening could not help but have this thought. Looking at how he dressed today in his younger appearance, there were no other explanations. That must be it. Su-in is a very beautiful woman. Having thought of this, Su Xuening still found it rather inappropriate. He was 30 years old but transfigured himself into an 18-year-old to fool Long Su-in. This was neither a right nor appropriate action. End of Chapter 71. Chapter 72 Problems find you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bai Chen now had a splitting headache. He did not know how to explain this to Su Xuening. He did not think he would be so unfortunate as to run into her like this. If she happened to ask him why he looked so young, unlike the last time they met, Bai Chen did not know how to answer. He was only hoping she would not ask. Su Xuening did not say anything. She kept glancing at him occasionally. Meanwhile, Su Er chatted gleefully with Long Su-in. All the food was served after about 5 minutes. The food was all of the top quality and expensive, from Peking duck topped with sauce, stir-fried mapo tofu, shark fin soup, abalone, and much more. Long Su-in had truly gone all out with the order. The smell of food was greatly tempting Bai Chen. He swallowed hard, his stomach twisting with hunger. I will think about her later. Now, I'll eat the food, he thought to himself. He decided to think about Su Xuening later. Now, he had to eat. Let's eat, Long Su-in said with a smile, inviting them all to eat. Bai Chen did not hesitate. He started with the Peking duck. The warm rice on the plate in front of him quickly decreased. The cute little girl Su Er had ordered some fried rice, which she ate with relish. Long Su-in and Su Xuening did not have much appetite. They took a couple of bites and stopped. After about 20 minutes, all the food on the table was finished by Bai Chen. He was extremely full and happy to have eaten such delicious dishes. He drank a glass of cold water in one gulp. Are you full? Long Su-in asked. If he was not, she would order more. It was clear she truly intended to treat him to a meal. I am. It would have been weird to say he was not full, since he had eaten way too much. You really can eat a lot, big bro. Do you want to share my ice cream with me? Su Er said with a smile. She was holding a cup of vanilla ice cream and was eating it with a spoon. Bai Chen smiled and refused. Thank you, but I'm already full. Aren't you, Bai Chen? Once he finished talking, an unfriendly and insulting voice sounded. What are you doing here? How can a person like you afford to eat at this restaurant? Bai Chen had to turn to look at the speaker. He saw a well-dressed gentleman who he instantly recognized as Ao Song. Ao Song was not alone. He had come with a bald middle-aged man with a big stomach who was wearing a suit. He seemed like a businessman and possibly Ao Song's father since their faces were similar in many ways. Su Xuening turned to look at Ao Song. Her gaze was very peaceful. No one knew what she was thinking now. Long Su-in furrowed but did not turn to look, because she did not care about Bai Chen's problem. She believed he could handle it easily by himself. The cute little girl Su-er puffed up her cheeks. She was not happy that they were saying bad things about Bai Chen, so she got up from her seat and turned to Ao Song. Who are you? How dare you insult Big Bro? Su-er stared at Ao Song and his dad. Ao Song's eyes widened a little when he saw Su-er's cuteness. But he was not happy with what she had said. Little girl, don't you try to protect him. Ao Swan put up his hand to stop his son. Little Song, let's get going. I still have some business elsewhere. It was clear that he did not want his son to get involved with someone who was not worth caring about like Bai Chen. In truth, he did now know Bai Chen. But yesterday his son had told him about how Bai Chen had tried to flirt with Li Lin using potato chips. That made him know of and look down on Bai Chen greatly. Ao Song made a disgruntled sound at Bai Chen. Nevertheless, he listened to his father. You loser. Don't you mess with Li Lin again or I will get you. Bai Chen blinked his eyes. He did not care about Ao Song's words at all. It would be good if Ao Song did not mess with him. But if he messed with his parents and caused them trouble, he would certainly not hesitate to kill Ao Song. Come sit down. Long Su-in did not pay attention to Ao Song. She turned to speak to Su-er. The cute little girl rolled her eyes a little but eventually sat back down as she was told. So beautiful. The father and son's eyes widened with surprise once they saw Long Su-in's face. If she had not turned, they would not have known that Bai Chen was sitting at the table with a beautiful lady. How is this possible? How could a loser like Bai Chen have the chance to dine with such a beautiful lady? Ao Song exclaimed incredulously. Ao Song was not the only one. His father did not want to believe it either. Little Song, didn't you say he was poor? He really is poor, Dad. But from what he is wearing today, it seems like he's surely disguised himself to trick this beautiful lady. How else could she be dining with him? Ao Song exclaimed this moodily. He felt discontent and extremely jealous of Bai Chen. I need to get this girl, he suddenly decided. He licked his lips lasciviously before walking towards the table where Bai Chen and the others were sitting. Ao Swan did not say anything. He nodded in agreement. He himself also wanted Long Su-in. He believed that with his wealth, he would never lose to someone like Bai Chen. Hey, beautiful. Would you like to go for a ride with me? Ao Song did not pay attention to Bai Chen, or to Su Xuening, whose face was covered. Nor did he pay any mind to Su-er. The only person he was interested in was Long Su-in. End of chapter 72. Chapter 73 Dealing with the Father and the Son. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Like my son just said, would you like to go for a ride with him and me? Ao Swan smiled, showing his yellow teeth whilst walking towards them. Long Su-in's gaze suddenly changed. She looked at the disgusting father-son pair coldly. I'm not interested. Ao Song was taken aback. People did not often say no to him. He was ready to throw a tantrum, but his dad stopped him. Ao Swan looked at Long Su-in. The corners of his mouth twitched up into a smile. Come with us and you can name your price. Honestly, I can give you as much as 10,000 yuan. Bai Chen shook his head. He felt that this father and son had great audacity and were quite shameless. Even though Long Su-in had already said no, they still would not budge, and instead, said disrespectful things to her. What are your names? Long Su-in asked coldly. Ao Swan's words had made her angry. Even if Su-er was only a cute little 10-year-old girl, she was more clever than other kids her age. She felt angry on Long Su-in's behalf when she heard what the ugly, bald, big-bellied man said. She was ready to curse him. But before she could do so, Su Xuening lowered her sunglasses a little, signaling her to stay still. Though she was discontent, she obeyed her big sister and sat still. Hearing what Long Su-in asked, Ao Song's mood lightened. My name is Ao Song. Come with us, beautiful. Guaranteed that 10,000 yuan will surely be yours, that's right. If 10,000 yuan is not enough, I will make it 20,000 yuan. Oh, my name is Ao Swan. I'm the owner of Ao Swan Construction Company. Ao Swan could not help rushing to introduce himself. Ao Swan and Ao Song, right. Very good. Hold on while I make a call. Long Su-in was about to take out her phone. However, Bai Chen stopped her. He turned to look at Ao Swan and Ao Song before saying, Ao Song, I think you should take your dad on a ride on your own. It was obvious he could not just sit by and watch. Otherwise, he would be ashamed of having been born a man. What did you just say? Ao Song's expression suddenly turned furious. He turned to glare at Bai Chen. Try saying that again. You brat. Who am I? And who are you? Don't you dare speak for me. Ao Swan was angry at Bai Chen's words. Bai Chen's brows furrowed. It seemed like speaking nicely was not an option with these two, they wouldn't listen. Since things had turned out this way, he would need to use a bit of violence. He was about to get up when a hand reached for him. The owner of that hand was Su Xuening. You don't need to do it yourself, she said while raising her other hand. Suddenly, two men in black suits walked in. The two of them approached Ao Song and Ao Swan. What are you guys doing? Ao Swan bellowed loudly, making everyone eating at nearby tables turn to look. In fact, some people were already staring because it looked like there was about to be a fight. But Ao Swan's shout called even more attention to them. Yeah. Ao Song turned to scream at the man in a black suit standing near him. Don't you know who I am? I'm Ao Song. Smack. The man in a black suit hit Ao Song's face with full force, twisting his face to the other side. Two bloody teeth fell out of his mouth. How dare you hurt my son? Ao Swan was enraged when he saw Ao Song being hit until two of his teeth fell out. He raised his fist before slamming it into the man in a black suit. The man in a black suit ducked and punched Ao Swan hard in the stomach. Ao Swan's eyes widened. His body bent over with pain. Without time to do anything else, he was dragged out by the man in a black suit. Ao Song too was in pain. He cried out but was dragged out as well. There was no need to guess what fate awaited the despicable father and son. They were sure to be beaten badly. Bai Chen saw everything that happened. He could guess who the two men in suits were. They must be the bodyguards Su Xuening had brought along. Su Xuening and Long Su-in, too, saw everything. They said nothing but thought Ao Swan and Ao Song deserved what they had gotten. Su Er was the only one who saw nothing. Since the men in black suits had walked in, her eyes had been covered by Long Su-in's hands. Nonetheless, she heard noises and could guess some of what happened. Other customers nearby turned back to their food, feeling that the way the father and son had been handled was very appropriate. You must have known those people, right? Long Su-in asked Bai Chen. I know them a little, especially Ao Song. He said this without hiding anything since there was nothing to hide. They were really aggravating, big bro. You better stay away from them, Su Er said with some anger in her voice. Bai Chen smiled when he heard the cute little girl. I get it. Su Xuening turned to look at Long Su-in and said, Su-in, I have to talk to you about something. Long Su-in was surprised by Su Xuening's words, but she nodded. What is it, Xuening? When he heard that Su Xuening had to talk to Long Su-in, he hurriedly got up from his chair. I'm going to the restroom. He then went to ask the nearby staff for directions to the restroom. Su Xuaning's highly puzzled gaze followed Bai Chen's back. She thought it would have to be her and Long Su-in who excused themselves to go to the restroom to talk. She obviously had not expected him to excuse himself like this. End of chapter 73. Chapter 74. Who is he exactly? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xuaning, what do you want to talk to me about? Like Su Xuaning, Long Su-in's eyes followed Bai Chen's back. But it was only for a second before she turned back to look at Su Xuaning. Su Xuaning looked at Long Su-in, her face expressing caution. Her hand suddenly moved to put up a chi barrier, which was invisible to ordinary people. The reason she had to put up a chi barrier was that she was afraid Bai Chen would use his power to eavesdrop on what she had to tell Long Su-in. However, she knew she could not stop him if he really wished to listen in on her, because a sky-soaring realm cultivator was a lot stronger than her. But at least she was certain that if he were to do it, she would feel it instantly because the chi barrier she had put up was excellent at detection. In case he really used his power to listen in on them, she would stop her conversation with Long Su-in immediately. Su-in, what is your relationship with him? Tell me truthfully. Su Xuaning said this. Her tone was very steady, but there was undoubtedly some intensity in what she had just said. Long Su-in blinked her pretty eyes a few times. She did not understand why Su Xuaning would ask such a question. But she chose to answer anyway. I could call him my friend. Friend. That's right. Actually, I have only known him for a few days, Long Su-in told her. But she did not mention the fact that Bai Chen had magic powers since she had already given him her word that she would not tell anyone. You don't fancy him, do you? Su Xuaning suddenly blurted out this question, causing Long Su-in's face to redden a little. She did not reply immediately. The feelings she had for Bai Chen, she was unsure if she liked him. But what she could say was she had good feelings for him since he was the one who had saved her from going blind by giving her the magic glasses. It would be better if you didn't fancy him. Su Xuaning spoke up since Long Su-in did not say anything but remained silent. Long Su-in's expression changed a little. She raised her eyebrows. Why? Because his appearance is uncertain, answered Su Xuaning. His appearance is uncertain. What you are seeing right now is probably not his real body. What do you mean? A bewildered look appeared on Long Su-in's pretty face. She pushed up her glasses. Su-in, there are many things in this world that you shouldn't know about. I can only tell you that he is not an ordinary person. Even both of our families combined could hardly do anything to him. Su Xuaning spoke with the utmost seriousness. Hearing what Su Xuaning told her, Long Su-in's body started shaking. Her heart started pounding. With a shocked expression on her face, she quickly put forth a question. Is this true? Su Xuaning nodded. Her beautiful eyes were darting back and forth behind her sunglasses. It is the absolute truth. Even if the Long and the Su family, two of the 5 biggest families of Beijing, were to join hands, we could still never fight him. Long Su-in went quiet. At this moment, she had nothing else to say. Her body was trembling slightly. In truth, she had thought that Bai Chen was the son of the 2nd generation of a wealthy family. But she had never thought that his true self would be so fearsome that even 2 of Beijing's biggest families like her Long family and Su Xuaning's Su family could not touch him. But thinking back to the magic glasses that he had given her and the magic he mentioned, she started to understand a little. Long Su-in took one more deep breath. With her gaze fixed on Su Xuaning, she asked with a shaky voice, who exactly is he? Su Xuaning shook her head in answer. I don't know either, because I only just met him yesterday. One thing I can say is that he is not ordinary, and you shouldn't fancy him. But you can be friends with him because becoming friends with him will be a very good thing. I understand, Xuaning. Long Su-in nodded while calming her emotions. At any rate, her mind was full of questions. She wondered who Bai Chen really was, and she was no longer sure whether he was really chasing after her and whether he truly fancied her. There was no doubt that all the questions on her mind were brought on by what Su Xuening had told her. Su Er was sitting in a chair next to Long Su-in. Even though she pretended not to pay attention to what her big sister was telling Long Su-in, her eyes sparkled immensely. She never thought that Big Bro, who seemed so ordinary and did not wear expensive clothes, whom she had accidentally met in front of a flower shop, would turn out to be such an amazing person. Bai Chen returned from the bathroom after 5 minutes. When he reached the table, he found that Long Su-in had already paid. "Shall we leave?" he asked. Long Su-in nodded absent-mindedly. Su Er jumped down from the chair. She walked towards Bai Chen, smiling gleefully, and grabbed his hand. "Big Bro, can I come to see your house?" Bai Chen blinked. He looked down at the cute little girl whose height only reached his waist. He was about to refuse because his house had nothing particularly interesting. He did not want Su Er to be disappointed. However, before he could say no, Su Xuening walked in and grabbed Su Er's arm. "Don't be naughty, Er. It's very late. We should hurry home." Disappointment showed on Su Er's face, but only briefly. She nodded, obeying her sister, and letting go of Bai Chen's hand. End of chapter 74. Chapter 75. Su Xuening is surprised. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bai Chen arrived at the parking lot with Long Su-in, Su Xuening, and Su Er. Long Su-in did not say anything to him the whole way. He did not know what Su Xuening had said to her, but he did not care much. He wanted to go home more, and he thought Mission 13 must be nearly complete since he had already done what Long Su-in wanted. "Let's go our separate ways here." When they reached a fancy champagne-colored car, Su Xuening spoke. She and Su Er stopped walking. Next to the car, 2 bodyguards stood peacefully. They were the ones who had dragged out and taken care of Ao Swan and Ao Song. "Yes, Xuening." Long Su-in did not say much. It seemed like she was lost in thought, making her appear somewhat absent-minded. Bai Chen said nothing. He only smiled at Su Er. "See you later, Big Bro." The cute little girl smiled back at him. "All right." Bai Chen nodded, still smiling. Su Xuening gazed deeply at Bai Chen once. There was one question in her mind that she wanted to ask, which was why he had not called her. Maybe he hasn't bought a phone yet. Su Xuening could not help having this thought enter her mind. "Mr. Bai Chen. If it is all right with you, can I ask for your phone number?" She eventually had to ask for his phone number because she wanted to have it. Bai Chen was not surprised that she asked for his number, because she had also asked for it yesterday. In truth, he wanted to give her his number. But unfortunately, he did not have a phone. Thus, the answer he gave her was the same as yesterday. "I'm so sorry. I don't have a phone, so I can't give you my number." Su Xuening went quiet after hearing his answer. His words left her speechless. In her opinion, it seemed as though he surely did not want to give her his number. "It's all right if you don't want to," Su Xuening said with disappointment. It was obvious that every word she said to him was always polite because she knew he was a sky-soaring realm cultivator. How could she dare to speak impolitely to him? Bai Chen did not know what else to say, since what he said was the truth. He still had not bought a phone. No. He actually did not have the money to buy it. It was not because he did not want to give her his number or anything. "You don't have a phone?" Long Su-in, who was standing next to him, asked curiously. Even after having heard from Su Xuening that he was not an ordinary man, she still talked to him the way she used to. She was afraid that if she suddenly spoke politely to him, it would seem suspicious, as if she already knew who he truly was. She did not want that to happen, fearing she would not be able to continue to be friends with him. That's right, Bai Chen answered truthfully. Long Su-in was silent. At the same time, she realized, was he not just living a life as an ordinary person? Even the suit he was now wearing was the one she had bought for him. How could he have money to afford a phone? She could not help but ask him hesitantly, "Want me to buy it for you? Would that be proper?" It was not that he did not want a phone. He just could not afford one. Having heard Long Su-in's words, he could not help but say that aloud. Still, he felt very uneasy about this. He felt he already slightly owed her for the suit that she had bought for him. Hearing the conversation between Bai Chen and Long Su-in, Su Xuening was at a loss for words. From the way they were talking, it looked like the two were very close. Of course. I will take you tomorrow, okay? Long Su-in said, looking at Bai Chen. All right then. If you need my help with anything, just let me know. I owe you one, Bai Chen told Long Su-in, before turning to look at Su Xuening. Wait until tomorrow. I will call you, okay? He thought by doing this, Su Xuening would no longer misunderstand that he did not want to give her his number. Su Xuening did not give any sort of reply. But beneath her sunglasses and mask, her face showed her surprise. She was really surprised by Bai Chen's words. Saying he owed Long Su-in favor was an astonishing thing to her. Because she still saw him as a sky-soaring realm cultivator. It was not common for a sky-soaring realm cultivator to say that they owed someone. That was a huge deal. Having a sky-soaring realm cultivator on their side, who would dare mess with her Long family? Su Xuening kept thinking how lucky Long Su-in was. Though there was no envy in her in regard to this issue, she only felt happy for Long Su-in. Or, does he really love Su-in? She could not help thinking about this. Just him easily saying he owed Long Su-in was enough to make her wonder. Here's my number, big bro, don't forget to call me. Su Er suddenly shoved a small piece of paper into Bai Chen's hand. Bai Chen took it and nodded with a smile. He liked this cute little girl quite a bit. All right, then let us go, Long Su-in said. She and Bai Chen then said goodbye to Su Xuening and walked towards the parked BMW. Su Xuening's gaze followed the pair of them for a while. She thought they were quite a well-matched couple. She started to think that she might have been mistaken in warning Long Su-in about Bai Chen. End of Chapter 75. Chapter 76 Changing Heirs. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the Shi family's living room in Beijing, Shi Konghai and Shi Duan were sitting on an elegant, expensive sofa. They sat opposite each other, with a black shiny glass table in the middle. On that glass table were 2 cups of coffee, which were clearly untouched by both people. It was obvious that they were not in the mood for coffee. About little Dong, there's nothing else we can do. Shi Konghai let out a sigh. Since he regained consciousness after passing out from hearing the news that the one Shi Dong had wronged had been General Huang Qian, he had been running around to see the other 9 most powerful generals of China, in order to ask them to help negotiate Shi Dong's release with General Huang Qian. But all of them had refused. No one was going to help him. This was because they were not willing to become each other's enemies. If it had nothing to do with their own family, it was impossible to expect them to turn on each other. It doesn't matter, Dad. Little Dong was the one who caused all of this. He deserves this. Shi Duan massaged his temples. His face was pale and fatigued. He had not slept since yesterday. But little Dong was too much. I never thought he would be this daring. Shi Konghai shook his head helplessly, thinking about the video Shi Duan had shown him. It was not that he was not angry, he had already been extremely angry. But anger could not change anything. Thus, he chose to slowly let go of his anger at Shi Dong and instead, looked for a way to help him, because no matter what, Shi Dong was still one of his grandsons. But despite all his effort, he could not help. Even though the Shi family was one of the 5 biggest families of Beijing, since they were already in decline, it was only a matter of time before they were no longer one of the 5 large families. If Big Uncle had not passed away too soon, things would probably have been better. Shi Duan could not help but say this out loud. The big uncle he spoke of was Shi Kong Hai's big brother. He had been a general who had been just as powerful as General Huang Qian. He had passed away 5 years ago from a horrible disease. His death had resulted in the Shi family becoming weaker and going into decline. Don't mention it. It's over and done with. Shi Kong Hai waved him off, obviously not wanting to talk about it. Talking about his late brother would not bring him back to life. Dad, I want Shi Du to become the heir instead of Shi Dong. What do you think? Out of the blue, Shi Duan brought up the topic of the family's heir, which had been a position that belonged to Shi Dong since he had been born, because he was the eldest son. But with the current situation, things were different. Since Shi Dong was sentenced to 50 years in prison, it was necessary to look for an alternative. Even though Shi Kong Hai had not yet stepped down from being the head of the Shi family, and Shi Duan had not yet become its head, an heir always had to be chosen ahead of time. Little Du seems all right. Little Du it is. His talent is not much less than Little Dong's. Shi Kong Hai nodded in agreement without a second thought. Apart from Shi Du, Shi Duan's second son, there was no one else who had the qualities to become the heir to the Shi family after him and Shi Duan. That's settled then. I will go see Little Du to let him know about this. Shi Duan stood up from the sofa. Shi Kong Hai said nothing. He only nodded. After Shi Duan left the living room, Shi Kong Hai let out a long sigh. He leaned his head on the sofa, mumbling out loud in a tired voice. Why is this happening to the Shi family in my time? Bang! A palm slammed hard on the table. A ruthless-looking middle-aged man with a long beard was the one who had slammed his hand on the table. He wore an expensive fur coat and was sitting on an expensive chair. His eyes were now full of anger. Can you tell me what has happened? He shrieked, his voice echoing loudly around the room. There were 2 more people in the room. One of whom Bai Chen would surely recognize if he were here. It was none other than Dong Go. Dong Go stood shaking uncontrollably with fear. The person who was sitting on the expensive chair and whose face was full of anger was the second most powerful member of the White Tiger Gang, second only to the gang leader. His name was Chang Du. Having to stand in front of Chang Du while he was so furious, how could Dong Go not be scared? He was only here because the person next to him had dragged him out of the hospital. Truthfully, Dong Go was still recovering. Many teeth in his mouth were missing, causing him continuous pain. Thus, he had had to stay in the hospital, along with Luanhe, who had 3 broken ribs. I know. I think it must be the same person who beat me and Luanhe up. The one who killed Big Bro Ma Jiang and the others. Dong Go spoke with a shaky voice. He was scared to talk about this because he knew that Ma Jiang and the rest had been killed. After all, they had gone to deal with Bai Chen but had been killed by Bai Chen instead. Looking back, he could not help but feel lucky that Bai Chen chose not to kill him. The reason Dong Go knew about Ma Jiang and his henchman's death was that someone had reported dead bodies at the original crime scene to the police an hour ago and it had ended up in the news. Certainly, Chang Du knew about this too. He had seen the news and that was why he was so furious at the moment. He was furious to the point that he had had to send his right-hand man to drag Dong Go out of the hospital for questioning. End of Chapter 76. Chapter 77 Chang Du's Order. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who is this guy you're talking about? Chang Du looked over at Dong Go with a sharp, piercing gaze, after hearing about the person who killed Ma Jiang and his men. Dong Go shook with fear. Having to confront Chang Du's fierce gaze, he instantly revealed everything. From how it had started with Ba Guan asking Ma Zhang to deal with someone for him, and then Ma Zhang sending him and luring her to do the job. After hearing everything from Dong Go, Chang Du furrowed his brows tightly. His expression had changed drastically. He was both angry and astonished. He did not imagine that the person who killed Ma Zhang in his guise would be an 18-year-old boy. He was not the only one. Even his right-hand man's expression had changed as well. Chang Du's right-hand man's name was Biao Gu. "What do you think, Biao Gu?" Chang Du asked his right-hand man with a serious look on his face. Biao Gu thought for a bit while before answering in a determined voice. "I think we must kill him to avenge Boss Ma Zhang's and the others in our gang who were killed by him." Chang Du nodded, agreeing with Biao Ji's words. His gaze turned cold. "Good. We will kill them tomorrow evening. You go gather around 20 people or so. Tell them to get their guns ready." Seeing that he killed Ma Zhang and his men, and Dong Go saying he knows Kung Fu, he might be quite difficult to deal with. "Yes, Boss Chang. I will take care of it now," Biao Gu said before rushing out of the room. "Boss Chang, let me come along. I want to see him die with my own eyes," Dong Go said quickly. Even though he was afraid of Bai Chen and the fact that he had killed Ma Zhang, he was also vengeful. He could not help but want to see Bai Chen die with his own eyes. No problem. Chang Du did not refuse because he had no reason to. Whether Dong Go went or not, the result would be the same. He believed that the 20 people he planned on bringing could kill Bai Chen easily. No matter how skilled he was at Kung Fu, he would be killed anyhow. "He dared to mess with our White Tiger gang. He messed with the wrong people," jeered Chang Du, before laughing loudly. His laugh gave Dong Go goosebumps. Long Su-in dropped Bai Chen off at home. Before she drove home, she made an appointment with him to go by his new phone at around 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. He actually wanted to postpone to 4 p.m. because he needed to go to school. But after some thought, he decided it would be all right to skip school for a day. So, he said yes to her. The first thing he did once he got home was to take a shower and change clothes. By the time he finished showering, it was already past 11 p.m. His parents were still up, and they came out to warn him not to go wandering around alone at night because people were getting killed in the wood next to the Xing Sing business district. He only nodded yes, but he knew full well who the killer was. It could not be anyone other than him. Once his parents had gone to bed, he went into his room and sat down, opening the life-changing systems window to check it. Mission 13, in which he had done what Long Su-in wanted, was complete now. He received 20 points and 1 roulette bonus. Moreover, he had leveled up to level 3. Both the mission.accomplishment and the level.up notification windows had popped up while he was in Long Su-in's car. He felt slightly disappointed about leveling up to level 3 because he thought there would be some new things added to the life-changing system. Anyhow, he thought he must gain a higher level in order to receive more new things in the life-changing system. The life-changing system, user. Bai Chen age. 18 years old level. 3:0/100, description. You still need 100 points to level up. Instruction. If you wish to change your life into what you have always wanted, proceed with the following missions. Mission Dashboard, Mission 15. Save a middle-aged woman from a horrible disease, 25 points, Mission 16. Take care of the White Tiger Gang's people, 25 points, further instruction. The order of mission completion is irrelevant. After you are done with the tasks assigned to you, you will be given a chance to receive special skills or items at random. The skills or items will give you a better life. You have one opportunity to receive special skills or items at random. After checking the life-changing system window, his eyes widened with surprise once he saw the point values of the 2 new missions. This was both missions' rewards were 25 points. Even though 25 points were not the highest points he had ever received from a mission in the life-changing system, the amount could be considered a lot once they were both combined. That was slightly shocking to him. If I complete these 2 missions, I will receive 50 points right away. And 2 roulette bonuses on top of that. Bai Chen murmured to himself with excitement. He tried to calm himself down before taking another good look at the 2 new missions. Actually, a moment ago, he had not paid much attention to the names of the 2 new missions. He had only focused on their point values. Thus, he could not help but focus now in order to see what the new missions were about. Once he had seen the names of the 2 new missions, Bai Chen's brows furrowed almost instantly because he saw the name of the White Tiger Gang in Mission 16. Take care of the White Tiger Gang. There is a chance that they will be sending people to kill me again. He could not help but think this way. End of Chapter 77. Chapter 78 The Magic Medicine Set. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Bai Chen thought a bit about the White Tiger Gang before deciding to check out the details of the 2 new missions anew. Mission 15. Save a middle-aged woman from a horrible disease. Description. You will accidentally meet a middle-aged woman who is suffering from an incurable disease. You need to save her by using the vaccine from the Magic Medicine Set. Reward for success. Win 25 points penalty for failure. The middle-aged woman will die from the horrible disease in a few months. Mission 16. Take care of the White Tiger Gang's people. Description. The second most powerful member of the White Tiger Gang knows about your killing Ma Jiang and his men. He is enraged and plans to come and kill you tomorrow evening. You must take care of him and those he is bringing with him. Reward for success. Win 25 points penalty for failure. Your parents will be in danger. After checking out the details of Mission 15 and 16, it was as though his eyes were filled with a murderous spirit. His hands were clenched into tight fists. He felt like his entire chest was filling with rage. What had made him this way was reading the sentence, "Your parents will be in danger." The White Tiger Gang. Bai Chen ground his teeth. He was furious right now. I will deal with all of you tomorrow. He had made up his mind. After dealing with the ones who would be coming for him tomorrow, he would deal with every single remaining member of the White Tiger Gang, too. Otherwise, they would surely target his parents next. Bai Chen took a deep breath to calm himself down. He decided to put this out of his mind for the moment and focus on Mission 15 instead. The Magic Medicine Set. His brows furrowed. He could already sense the complicated nature of this mission because he had no idea where he was supposed to get this magic medicine set. But thinking about it, this mission was very similar to Mission 4, where he had no idea where to get the magic glasses from. Eventually, he had gotten them from the roulette function of the system. Bai Chen did not know if he was going to receive the magic medicine set like he had received the magic glasses or not. He could only pray he would. He pulled up the roulette bonus window, which instantly appeared. Without hesitation, he pushed the button. The roulette wheel suddenly started spinning. It spun very fast at first, then slowed down until it stopped at special items. Ding! Congratulations, you have received a low-grade magic medicine set. Bai Chen's heart started beating fast with excitement once he received the magic medicine set from the roulette bonus. So, if I get these types of missions, does the roulette bonus give me the items that I need? Bai Chen could not help but think this way because it was too much of a coincidence to have received the magic medicine set and the magic glasses when they were needed for his missions. That must definitely be it. After thinking it over carefully, Bai Chen had no doubt about it. Then, he took a look at the magic medicine set in front of him. It was a small flat square medicine box that was very modern looking. He stared at it for a while before reaching for the magic medicine set to have a look at it. He opened the box to find that it contained 3 syringes and 3 small vaccine bottles. Is this what the magic medicine set contains? His brows furrowed a little. He did not expect to find 3 syringes and small vaccine bottles like these. However, he did not care much. He checked out the magic medicine set's information. Low-grade magic medicine set, description. The magic medicine set was created by the Doctors of Miracles thousands of years after this in the future. It is a set of medicines that can cure any disease on the planet. Therefore, it is not a stretch to call this magic medicine set God's medicine set. However, due to this set being created during an experimental phase, it is a low-grade magic medicine set. More than 1 bottle of vaccine might be needed to cure a disease. Grades of special items: low, medium, high, supreme. Once he had read the magic medicine set's information, he became crazily excited. Because this magic medicine set was comparable to God's medicine, with its ability to cure any disease in the world. It was important to note that there were still many incurable diseases in the world. If this magic medicine set were to slip out, it would most certainly shock the global medical field. But it seems to be a low-grade magic medicine set. More than 1 bottle of vaccine will be needed to cure the disease, Bai Chen said to himself while thinking. Hopefully, the middle-aged woman's disease in Mission 15 will only need 1 bottle of the vaccine. Afterward, he put the magic medicine set into the dimension ring. In the dimension ring, there were now many guns with silences that he had gotten from Ma Zhang's crew. When combined with the magic medicine set that he had just put in, they took up almost no space at all, nothing was particularly large. So, the dimension ring still seemed like it had nothing in it. Once he had put the magic medicine set inside the dimension ring, Bai Chen laid down on his bed with his head falling right onto the pillow. He was not planning to sleep right away because there was still something he needed to think about. Like, how was he going to deal with the whole White Tiger gang? In regard to this matter, truthfully, he had no idea how many people there were in the White Tiger gang. It would be great if there were not so many people. But if there were a lot, that would be a problem for him. End of chapter 78. Chapter 79 Time with Long Su In. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the morning, Bai Chen left his house at 8:30 a.m., after helping his parents set up the Chinese steamed bun shop. Even though today was a school day, he had already decided not to go. He walked out to the entrance of Xing Sing Business District in no time. But as soon as he arrived, he saw 2 men in police uniforms asking questions of people who were coming and going. If he had to guess, he would say that the questioning by the 2 policemen certainly had something to do with the case of Ma Zhang and his people's death, including Hu Tong who had been killed earlier. Both policemen glanced at Bai Chen for a second. Once they saw that he was only an 18-year-old boy, they looked away. Clearly, they were not targeting young people, only middle-aged people and older. That was because that might give them a clue about the culprit. Bai Chen walked past them without a care. Those policemen could look everywhere for clues and still not know that it was him who had killed Ma Zhang and his people, unless they woke them up to ask. He walked towards a corner that was not too far from the Xing Sing Business District's entrance and waited. He waited less than 10 minutes when the familiar BMW drove in and parked in front of him. The window was rolled down, showing Long Su In's beautiful face. She looked at him before saying, "Hop in." It was clear that she was still behaving the same way as before, as if the conversation with Su Xuening never happened. However, the way she looked at him was vastly different from before. She no longer thought he was romantically pursuing her. Because whenever she was with him, he had never shown signs that he was flirting with her. Long Su In blushed. She felt embarrassed of herself because she had been imagining things on her own. It was not strange for her to now think that he was not pursuing her because of the magic glasses he gave her, the magic power he said he had, and also what Su Xuening had told her. That he was not an ordinary person, that even the 2 big families of Beijing like her Long family and Su Xuening's Su family could not do anything to him. There was also one more thing, which was when Su Xuening had told her that his appearance that she saw now might not be his real self. Long Su-in had found that the more she knew Bai Chen, the more mysterious he appeared. But even so, she did not have any thoughts of distancing herself from him or of not being friends with him. It was the opposite. She wanted to know him better. She wanted to know how many secrets he was hiding. Bai Chen hurriedly got into the car as he was told, and the car was driven away shortly after. The destination was Xing Yuan Department Store, the biggest department store in Xingzhou City. It took them around half an hour to reach Xing Yuan Department Store due to the rather great distance. After parking the car in the department store's lowest level, Bai Chen and Long Su-in went up to the third floor, because that was where phones, computers, and other electronic appliances were sold. Thus, them going up to this floor could not be helped. "Which brand of mobile phone do you want?" Long Su-in asked while they walked towards the mobile phone section. Today, she was wearing ordinary clothes, just like Bai Chen's. She wore a pair of skinny jeans and a white T-shirt with a black jacket over it. The way she dressed made it so that when they walked together, she and Bai Chen appeared to be a perfect couple. But in the eyes of people who were in various spots or walking past them in Xing Yuan Department Store, Bai Chen still did not deserve Long Su-in. Though he may have been slightly handsome, Long Su-in's beauty made it so he really did not appear to suit her. Her long brown hair was still up in a ponytail today, moving from side to side when she walked. Bai Chen, who was walking behind her, did not hear the question, because his eyes were focused on the waving ponytail and her long, beautiful fair neck. The light scent of her fragrance reached his nose. With that added to what he was seeing in front of him, he was completely distracted. "Are you listening?" Long Su-in had to stop walking and turn to look at Bai Chen when he did not answer her question. As if waking up from a dream, Bai Chen stopped walking and looked at her face. "What is it?" he couldn't help but ask. "So, you were not listening to me then?" Long Su-in let out a sigh. "It doesn't matter. I asked which kind of phone and which brand you want." Bai Chen stood thinking for a while before answering. "Any brand that I can make a call with will do. And a cheap one would be great." It was obvious from his answer that he felt slightly like he was putting her in a lot of trouble, and that he did not want Long Su-in to spend a lot of money on buying a single phone. Because for him, just a phone that he could make a call with was enough. Long Su-in was quite surprised by his words. She did not think that someone like Bai Chen would want a cheap phone. But thinking back on how he was living a normal, everyday person's life, she began to understand. However, for her to buy a cheap phone for him was impossible, because for someone of her status to buy a cheap phone was out of the question. "I will choose for you then, okay?" She thought for a bit before asking him. "Sure." Bai Chen had no problem with that since he seemed to think that she was buying him a cheap phone, just like he wanted. End of chapter 79. Chapter 80 Tang Zi Ching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the moment, Bai Chen was feeling helpless. He never thought Long Su-in would not buy a cheap phone for him. Instead, she had bought him such an expensive phone worth many thousand yuan, which was the iPhone. He looked at the iPhone sitting on a table in front of him and let out a sigh. Finally, he put it in his pocket. He was now sitting in a relatively expensive restaurant which was on the first floor of Xing Yuan Department Store. It had been 30 minutes since Long Su-in had taken Bai Chen to buy his phone. After they were done, she had brought him to this restaurant for a meal because she had not eaten since morning. "Why is she taking so long in the restroom?" Bai Chen said to himself when he had not seen Long Su-in return from the restroom. In fact, she had excused herself to go to the restroom since they'd arrived. It had been almost 10 minutes already. But perhaps it was like the old saying that if you thought of someone, they would appear. Long Su-in finally returned. However, she did not come back alone. With her came a middle-aged man and a woman. They were both well-dressed. The man wore an expensive suit and the woman was also dressed that made clear her status as an upper-class lady. Both of their faces, even in their middle age, still showed how good-looking they were. Yet, the middle-aged woman's face looked somewhat thin and pale. In Bai Chen's eyes, she must have some kind of horrible disease. While he was looking at Long Su-in and the middle-aged couple walking together, the mission dashboard window appeared in front of him with a green arrow pointing at the middle-aged lady. Mission 15. Save a middle-aged woman from a horrible disease. Description: you will accidentally meet a middle-aged woman who is suffering from an incurable disease. You need to save her by using the vaccine from the magic medicine set. Reward for success: win 25 points, penalty for failure. The middle-aged woman will die from the horrible disease in a few months. I can't believe that the middle-aged woman the mission said I would accidentally meet would be brought to me by Long Su-in. He could not help but mutter out loud after looking at the mission window of Mission 15 with a green arrow pointing at the middle-aged woman. Meanwhile, he clicked the window closed, which was at the same time that Long Su-in and the middle-aged couple reached the table. If this had been the 18-year-old him in the previous life, Bai Chen would have surely panicked and not known what to do if he were to meet such a good-looking and well-dressed middle-aged couple like these two. Unfortunately, now he had already turned into a 30-year-old uncle, so he did not panic at all. Bai Chen, let me introduce you. These are Uncle Tang Zicheng and Auntie Tang Yan. The two of them are my acquaintances. Long Su-in invited both to sit down before introducing them. She pushed up the gold-rimmed glasses she was wearing a little before sitting down on a chair next to him. The tables at this restaurant each had 4 seats, so now the middle-aged couple was sitting on the opposite side from him and Long Su-in. Bai Chen said hello as courtesy dictated while thinking to himself about how he was supposed to take out and inject the magic medicine set's vaccine to help cure the woman. Uncle, Auntie, this is Bai Chen, whom I have spoken of. After introducing them to Bai Chen, she introduced him to them. Tang Zicheng simply nodded at Bai Chen while Tang Yan had only a small smile on her pale face. You are, after looking at Bai Chen for a while, Tang Zicheng exclaimed in shock. He did not think he would meet Bai Chen again here. Moreover, Bai Chen even knew Long Su-in, too. The reason why he was so shocked was that he recognized Bai Chen. He was none other than the mysterious man who had disguised himself as a beggar and sat next to the garbage pile whom Bai Chen had given a bag of steamed buns. Uncle, you know him. Long Su-in saw the change in Tang Zicheng and could not help asking. Long Su-in was not the only one. Tang Yan, who had come with him, also asked. Honey, do you also know Su-in's friend? She was clearly curious. From the way she addressed Tang Zicheng, she was obviously his wife. Bai Chen was no different from the others. He was also curious. It was clear from Tang Zicheng's words that he knew him. You know me, he said. As Tang Zicheng had been disguised as a beggar with hair covering his face that day, it was impossible for Bai Chen to recognize Tang Zicheng as that mysterious man. No, it seems like I mistook you for someone else, Tang Zicheng said hurriedly after unintentionally reacting that way. That must be it. How could you know him, Uncle Tang? Long Su-in nodded in understanding. Tang Zicheng's wife and Bai Chen also nodded. He did not suspect anything from Tang Zicheng's words, because he was not previously acquainted with the other party. Bai Chen, Uncle and Auntie Tang will eat with us at our table. Is that okay? Long Su-in suddenly turned to ask Bai Chen. She had invited Tang Zicheng and Tang Yan to join them because she had accidentally run into them in front of the restroom. They had not seen each other in a long time, so Tang Yan asked her to come to eat with them. She did not want to refuse, so she had brought them to the restaurant where Bai Chen was waiting for her. End of chapter 80.